Insurance services offered through the Wealth Training Academy, Insurance Made Easy LLC. Certain appropriately licensed individuals are registered to offer investment advisory services through Sophos Investments Incorporated, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Sophos is not affiliated with any entities listed herein. Sophos does not offer tax or legal advice and is not a certified public accountant. The opinions expressed in the show are those of the host and may not necessarily reflect those held by Sophos. This is for general information only and is not intended to provide specific investment advice or recommendation for any individual. It is suggested that you consult your financial professional, attorney, or tax advisor with regard to your individual situation. Comments concerning past performance are not intended to be forward-looking and should not be viewed as an indication of future results.
The CARES Act and why retirees should care. On today's show, some tips to help maximize the stimulus package.
And now, the Wealth Training Academy. Your retirement questions are answered here.
Shielding and protecting and growing the money that you've worked so hard for.
Ed Storer offers turnkey retirement solutions under one roof.
We handle every aspect of a person's finances.
The Wealth Training Academy with Ed Storer.
Welcome to the Wealth Training Academy. I'm Consumer Advocate Dave Perkins along with Ed Storer. Of course, the man with the information here. He is the shield. He's the wealth coach. He's the president of the Wealth Training Academy, serving the Greenville area and beyond and setting people up with good, solid retirement plans. And by the way, the Wealth Training Academy, you'll hear us saying this a lot. It's very turnkey. Now, in normal times, Ed can just walk down the hall with maybe a tax question or an insurance question because he has experts in those fields all under one roof. Now, of course, it's done a little bit virtually, but that's okay. You get the answer quick, and you get it from the Wealth Training Academy. Hello, Ed.
Good morning. How's everybody doing this morning?
Great. You're going to be happy when you can get back to the point where you can just walk down the hall and check in with someone in insurance, answer a question. Wow.
I have to tell you, it's I'm the type of person who likes to be around people.
Yeah.
And I probably am driving my wife crazy right about now. So
join the club.
Nice thing, I'm literally here at the office. I come in the office every morning around 6:30, 6:45 anyway.
Yeah.
And because nobody's here.
Yeah. Well,
it's the safest place to be.
You got to have your ad time too. Yeah, absolutely. Well, now let me ask you this: do you still, if someone wishes to come into the office and meet with you, is that still a possibility now?
It is a possibility.
Okay.
We've actually made sure that all the conditions are set up very safely. Anytime somebody that comes into the office new that's not part of, well, if it's not just by myself or me, we spray the whole office down. I have sanitizers. I clean everything. We actually clean all the doorknobs before somebody leaves. After somebody leaves, so everything has been sterilized before and after when somebody comes and go. Especially during, we're still finishing up taxes. Taxes have been extended.
Yeah,
we have some people coming by, but we're doing a lot of things virtually now. We've set everything up so it can be done virtually, but sometimes there's a lot of great detail that you just need to give a lot of information to, a lot of paperwork, and so we'll make arrangements where somebody can come in.
Well, and that's the thing too. Whatever way you're the most comfortable with, it can be accommodated by the Wealth Training Academy. You can reach them at 800-563-7030, 800-563-7030. And as you mentioned, Ed, the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act of 2020 CARES. It's the biggest economic stimulus package ever signed into law, and it impacts so many in healthcare systems, small businesses, workers, and retirees. That's what we're going to look at and just kind of touch on this first thing here, Ed, because they're going out now. The stimulus checks going to many. I don't know if there's so much. I know that they're designed to stimulate the economy, and they probably are helping people who lost income in some way.
Yes, by now people are probably already receiving their checks. They'll likely be direct deposited. But this whole CARES Act, it really depends on your 2018 and or your 2019 adjusted gross income and the number of kids that you have under 17. There's a section 2201 in the act that details all this. Mm-hmm. However, believe it or not, welcome to our government. Can you imagine the literature's a little bit unclear?
Really?
Yeah. The crazy thing is It's technically a 2020 tax credit. So being it's a tax credit, there's things that you may or may not qualify for, but they're giving you this tax credit in advance. So make sure that you communicate with somebody, talk to somebody who understands taxes, who understands the investments and how's everything going to be related to you, and as far as whether or not you're going to receive it. Make sure to really have a conversation with somebody about that.
Yeah, and I know a lot of it's based on what you made, and as you mentioned, when you filed, and I've talked to people who were happy that they filed in 2019 and not happy that they filed in 2019 because whatever you made in the year that last year you filed can affect it. The other thing too from the CARES Act, we've talked about this, the old required minimum distributions, now the age is 72 from the Secure Act, that's waived from the CARES Act for 2020.
If you've already taken your 2020 required minimum distribution from your own account, you actually have 60 days to indirectly roll it back into that account. So what I mean by that is you do not have to take your required minimum distribution in the year 2020. If you have 60 days to roll that back into your retirement account. You simply write a check, deposit back into the same account that you took it out of. Now, it has to be the same amount of money. Now, if you've already taken the distribution from an inherited IRA, well, you can't put that money back.
Okay.
So there's a little glitch there.
Yeah.
So if you don't need your required minimum distribution, don't take it. Keep the income for 2020 artificially low so you can basically take advantage of doing a Roth conversion. And we've talked about that many times before.
Yeah.
Today, this year, with the accounts and the values of your stock positions, not your other positions, if you're properly diversified, well diversified across the baskets that we talk about all the time. You have your guaranteed income, you have your insured income, you have your pensions, you have your Social Security, hopefully you have a designed guaranteed income coming into you. I'm talking about your stock basket. That's the one the investment guy helps you out with. If they're down, now's the time to really start looking at doing a Roth conversion. And that's why you need to work with your tax person. The investment person must be working with the tax person because you want to make sure you stay within your proper tax bracket and don't overexceed pushing yourself into a higher tax bracket and also potentially taxing your Social Security more.
Well, that's a great point, Ed. And I mean, that's why having Ed and his team on your site can help. As I mentioned, tax, investments, insurance, Medicare, estate planning, setting up retirement plans, all come under the umbrella of the Wealth Training Academy. Now, on distributions and not the RMDs, but even if you're under 59 and a half and it's coronavirus related, you can take distributions without, up to a certain amount, without penalty.
The coronavirus actually allows you to pull up to $100,000 from your retirement account and then spread those taxes because you're going to owe taxes on the dollars that you take out from your requirement, from your RIA. They allow you to spread that over 3 years. Now, the beautiful thing about that is once you hit 59 and a half, you don't have to worry about this thing called a 10% penalty. Prior to the rule, you had to worry about 10% penalty if you took money out from your retirement accounts prior to age 59 and a half. But they've waived that up to $100,000, and the taxes that you would owe, you get spread out over 3 years. So it's really nice.
Yeah, and this is a good breakdown of the CARES Act. And just a couple of, we're a little bit out of time on this segment or getting kind of short, but there are benefits from Medicare beneficiaries that come with this too. That's huge.
One provision of the CARES Act that requires pharmacists now to accept 90-day drug supplies from Medicare Part D. So if you're beneficiaries of the Medicare and you're on Part D of the prescription drug plan, you can get your 90 days drugs filled now. So it's really a good program.
Yeah, and the other thing too, this is a win-win for charities and for you in taxes that there are bigger incentives now to make charitable contributions that have come from the CARES Act.
There is huge opportunities right now if you're a charitable person, and really sitting down with an estate planning attorney, especially our estate planning attorney here who specializes in this area only. And he's a family attorney and specializes in estate planning. We used to have provision on adjusted gross income where the provision was 60%. Well, now that has been raised up to 100%. That means if you want to give a big gift in 2020, you could effectively take your tax bracket to zero.
Nice.
But you need to make sure that you work with your estate planning attorney and guess who? Your tax advisor.
Mm-hmm.
They must work hand in hand in order to get this working really well.
And it's so
Take
great.
advantage of this.
Yeah.
Take advantage of this.
I mean, absolutely. And wow, what an opportunity. I mean, a good breakdown on CARES Act and really how it affects retirees. And in many ways, it looks like many positive ways there with Ed Storer. And also a good reason, and it's pointing out how it would be beneficial to you to have as your retirement partner someone who really brings a team to the effort of building your plan and offering good advice. And that is Ed and the team at the Wealth Training Academy. And as always, every week we have special offers for you to get it started with that consultation and no cost or obligation, Ed.
Absolutely. For the next 10 callers, please call, leave a message if we can't get to you right away, but please call. We're going to give a full-blown financial plan away. We've seen in the Greenville area people charge up to $1,000 just for a review. We're going to do a full tax analysis for you, your 2018, your 2019. We've actually been doing this now, and we've been finding tremendous amount of dollars that have been left on the table for those in their doing their 2018 tax review. They've left all the opportunity there. They didn't work with a tax planner. We can go back and evaluate your taxes up to 3 years. We can look at these situations, especially if you're a business owner. We'll do a full-blown tax review. We'll take a look at all your hidden costs and fees with inside your investments. We'll look at all your insurance costs and what you're paying on that. We'll even sit down with you and look and evaluate your estate plan. If you're a business owner and you're 10 years out from retiring, we'll help you set up exit planning. We will do a full-blown review for the next 10 callers. Taxes, investments, insurance, and estate planning. If you have $250,000 and above in your retirement assets, you will probably need the most help. Give us a call. The next 10 callers right now, we will give this away, the full program. We've seen more than $1,000 being charged for a full-blown plan. And one page is usually $1,000. We're going to do it for free.
It's as easy as calling 800-563-7030, 800-563-7030 for Ed and the team at the Wealth Training Academy. And this is a full-blown plan, a full tax analysis or a consultation to make sure with the tax analysis that you don't leave money on the table, looking at estate planning, looking at insurance, everything we've talked about that's handled by the team at the Wealth Training Academy, offered at no cost or obligation to the next 10, 800-563-7030, 800-563-7030. It's the Wealth Training Academy. We are just getting started. Ed, what is next?
Well, you thought you were going to work until you quit. The COVID-19 happened, and some companies are offering baby boomers early retirement. Should you take it? Some tips you need to consider about retiring early from the benefit packages that they may be offering when you come back.
He's letting the clock run out on his Social Security to age 70 for maximum benefits. And here comes the Roth conversion. He's locked in for income for life. He's got some outstanding coaching with that annuity plan. He's created his own pension as well, and it looks like he's going to go all the way.
Play your best retirement game. Call Ed Storer and the team at the Wealth Training Academy. 800-563-7030. 800-563-7030. Ed Storer, 800-563-7030. Hey, welcome back. It is the Wealth Training Academy. I'm consumer advocate Dave Perkins with Ed Storer, who is the president. Think of Ed as the shield and really in his team as the shield in building a retirement plan for you. There at the Wealth Training Academy, tax, investments, insurance, Medicare, estate planning, all under the umbrella of the Wealth Training Academy. What a team to have as retirement partners building that plan for you and with you throughout. And a lot of times it's nice to have that team to call and say, hey, can we talk, because something has come up, and this is something that is coming up with baby boomers now. Ones, as you mentioned, Ed, we're actually planning to continue to work, and now we could be seeing companies offering early retirement. They've done it, and it may escalate a little bit. So we're looking at some things you should consider if your boss calls you in and gives you that option to early retire. And the one thing is, break down the details of the package, and of course that's where you and your team can help, Ed.
Definitely. We're hearing a lot more of companies offering early retirement packages to executives and also their higher up employees. Instead of just furloughing them, they're saying, hey, why don't we go ahead and figure out if now's a good time for you to retire. Early retirement can vary depending on the company and the numbers of years that you've worked for that company as an employee. The organizations have different financial positions. They offer different programs. Start by checking to see if you're going to get a severance pay if you decide to retire early. This usually is an amount based on your work history. So check your package and find out if they're going to offer that. That's one of the things you should talk about.
And we talk about, health being in your part of your team there at the Wealth Training Academy, Ed, and that is probably maybe the first thing you need to look at is your health insurance needs.
That tends to be one of the biggest topics that people bring up. Yeah. That's why we have to have the health insurance specialists here. That's why we have the Medicare specialists here. Is if you're 65 and older, you're probably going to be eligible for Medicare. But if you're younger than 65, you want to find out about your health insurances, the benefits that needs to be part of your retirement package. Perhaps your spouse has a plan that will cover you. If you need to purchase health insurance for yourself, you need to look at costs associated with this option. You need to look at all the situations with that. You need to have a specialist on this. This person needs to be working hand in hand with your investment and your tax person, because Medicare expense is based on your income. And a lot of people don't realize that. So how you're taking your income and when you hit 65 and you're paying that Medicare expense, it really depends on your income on how much you're going to pay. The other thing is there's so many different healthcare packages out there. You need to make sure that the person that's working with you isn't trying to sell you a product, but is actually working as a fiduciary in your best interest. And
that's the whole thing. I mean, and you and your team are not selling a product, you're selling a plan, and so much comes with that. And healthcare is so vital to consider if you are offered early retirement. And it helps to have an expert on your side to make sure you're not, or that you are using the proper strategy if you do need to set up your own health insurance. And that's Ed and his team. 800-563-7030 is how you reach Ed. You can come into the office, which they sterilize constantly, or you can set up a virtual consultation, 800-563-7030. All right, your boss calls you in. Johnson, we've got an offer for you to consider. Well, maybe you hadn't thought, you've kind of in the back of your mind thought about when you retire, getting some other kind of line of work. Maybe look at that and see if you did find another job or start some type of consultant business or whatever. It may not be a bad decision. Consider it.
The first thing you need to sit down, talk to the spouse, and have a family prayer meeting. Get together and talk to the family and share with them what is going on, and make sure that you've got their buy-in. Because here's the thing. You may not want to retire. You just may want to retire from that job.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
J-O-B, just over broke. So you may want to start a new career. You may want to do something. People don't retire to sit on the front porch and rock their lives away. I've been doing this now for 29 years, specializing in the retirement area and taking people to and through retirement. And retirees are busier people than ever. Yeah. Actually, they go back to work just to relax. So
that's true.
But you need to take in consideration of potentially not taking the offer, though. If somebody says, hey, Johnson, come on in, you need to make sure what would potentially happen to you financially if you didn't take this package, because they might turn around and just let you go.
Yeah, so, that's the whole thing. I've always wondered, what happens if you turn it down?
That's right. So that's why we're sharing the idea of you need to make sure you plan now. Planning for retirement should happen at least 5 years out before you plan on retiring. And they should plan now with everything that's going on. You should be planning now. You should be, and everything needs to be taken into consideration. That's why we keep talking about the holistic, the idea of integrating taxes, investments, insurance, and estate planning. Everything touches everything. And when you get to that point, when you're in retirement, it will actually do that. So you need to look at all your financial situations, as well as take into consideration the lifestyle that you want for you and your family when you retire.
Oh, absolutely. And yes, and before those 5 years or so before retiring, we call it the financial red zone. And more than ever, that's when you need to start your retirement plan. You don't want to wait until you retire. You know, it's often said that people spend more time planning a vacation than they do their retirement. And retirement could be 30 years or more. So it takes a good, solid plan. And if he calls you in and says, Johnson, I've got something for you to consider, you do need, of course, to look at your overall financial situation and your well-being, not just the financial part of it, but your overall well-being.
I mean, here's the real thing. One spouse might be working. The other spouse may not be physically able to work. You have to take those into consideration. You really need to look at the Social Security on both spouses when you get ready to retire. Social Security planning has changed tremendously. Again, it changed the beginning of this year before we all got hit again with the corona. And so well-being, family lifestyle, where you want to go, what you want to do needs to be taken into consideration more so than ever before.
And even your health.
Big time. Sometimes when you retire, especially for men, and I don't mean to be male chauvinist on this, but men usually have their whole world wrapped around the idea of what they do for a living.
Oh, sure. And it's becoming more with women and has been, but
Absolutely.
You're right. Historically, it has certainly been that.
And sometimes their whole social aspect is wrapped up in their world of where they work. Their friends are there, their acquaintances are there, their duties are there, their responsibilities there. Then all of a sudden they retire to nothing. So health, not only physical, but emotionally needs to be taken into consideration when you retire. That's why I was talking about what are you going to retire to?
Right.
You need to have a purpose. Everything you do has to be purposely driven. Not just, I want my investments to go up. Not just, I want to make tons of money. Not just, I need income. But what's the purpose and drive behind that? And a well-defined plan, one that we develop over here, our integrated wealth management system, our Wealth Shield, takes the purpose of why you're retiring into consideration. Because usually it's spiritually and it's family motivated also. So planning and retiring is very important, especially if you get that surprise and they go, hey, Johnson, come on in. I need to have a conversation with you. Especially if you get that surprise. And it's happening more and more. I'm not going to mention companies here in the area, but I definitely know 3 major companies right now that are offering that program.
Yeah, and I mean, it really does help as we open the segment to have a team or a retirement partner like Ed that you can call and just run it by, because I mean, things happen even in retirement. So Ed, I mean, you're with them, and I love your point about you're not just looking at finances and making the decisions about the retirement, but the overall, your lifestyle, your health, everything, and mental health as well. It's all factored in, and that's why this is a good time to get that plan started with Ed Storer and his team at the Wealth Training Academy and take advantage of yet another special offer.
For the next 10 callers right now, we will do a full-blown financial review for you. We will look at your taxes. We will look at your investments, all the hidden costs and fees inside investments. Ladies and gentlemen, please understand, you are paying fees inside your investments. Nobody does this for free. They're not as cheap as you think they are. We'll give you programs and books to help teach you and train you on the hidden costs inside these things. The taxes are associated with all those hidden costs. We'll show and sit down with you and explain to you your insurance options, what are going on with the insurance situations, how the insurance costs can affect you. There are so many people that have such large insurance costs, they're unaware of it. that these insurance companies are just taking money from you. You need to make sure your estate plan is up to date. You need to have your wills, your powers of attorney, your trusts put in place before you need them. You need to spend time and do that. Okay. If you're a business owner and you are trying to figure out, do I want to sell my company? Do I leave it to my kids? You need to do some exit planning. We'll help you do that. We will do a full-blown review, taxes, investments, insurance, and estate planning. No cost because of what's going on right now. We know people are hurting right now and they need some advice and they need it done on a fiduciary basis without somebody trying to sell them something. We'll do it full-blown for free. We've seen people that charge $1,000 just for a one-page evaluation. We're going to do the full-blown plan for free if you have $250,000 or more in your retirement account, because that's who really needs it most. Give us a call. The next 10 callers, we'll do this program for free. Please give us a call.
What a great opportunity. Not a one-pager and not charging you up to $1,000 for it. A full-blown financial review at no cost or obligation for the next 10 at 800-563-7030, 800-563-7030. Looking at fees, finding hidden fees, insurance options, proper tax strategy, estate planning. It's a holistic plan you're going to be talking about with Ed and his team. 800-563-7030, 800-563-7030. And we appreciate you listening to the Wealth Training Academy. We get together every week with this and more of the show. What is coming up, Ed?
We've already talked about an early retirement package, but let's talk about what's going on now if your company decides to cut the 401k match. Also, should you take your Social Security and when? We'll talk about those situations and more about retirement when we come back.
And now a nightmare retirement consultation. Yeah, no pain, no gain, right? No risk, no reward, right? We're going all risk, see? We're going to put everything you got in the market. You're going to love it. Don't walk, run from that office and go to your future retirement partner with your best interest in mind and with a plan that's customized for your risk tolerance and that can help increase your financial confidence in retirement. That's Ed Storr at the Wealth Training Academy. 800-563-7030. 800-563-7030. How's the market doing?
It's fine.
How's the market doing now?
The same as it was 5 seconds ago.
Stop worrying about market volatility. A good retirement plan will keep you from panicking when and if there's ever a panic, even during a correction or a mild recession. Get that solid retirement plan with lifetime income and protection from pitfalls. Get in touch with Ed Storr and the team at the Wealth Training Academy. 800-563-7030. 800-563-7030.
The show is the Wealth Training Academy, and the firm is the Wealth Training Academy, and Ed Storr is the president, the Shield, the wealth coach, and he has a team working right along with him with expertise in taxes and investments, insurance, Medicare, and estate planning. It all comes together to build a solid retirement plan for you. You can reach Ed at 800-563-7030, 800-563-7030. Okay, we're back to the boss calling Johnson in the office. Johnson! A minute ago, he was offering you the option of early retirement, offering being in quotes. But now he's saying that the company has to cut your 401k match. And unfortunately, I know of companies doing that now and since the beginning of the whole COVID-19. What should you do if that happens? If you're laid off, should you take advantage of Social Security if you're eligible? Good questions that we're going to tackle in this segment. Ed, first off, what do you do if your plan is affected?
You know, the traditional personal financial advice is contribute up to the level of your employer's match. But here's the thing. Now with everything that's going on, they may not be doing an employer's match. So our advice is you still make those contributions to your 401k first and foremost. And here's why. Even if the company is not giving you a match right now, they will again. They'll come back and they'll match again. They're just having tough times. However, making those contributions to your retirement 401k allows you to put money away for that retirement pre-tax. And it allows you to make contributions well and above the normal contributions that you could to a traditional IRA alone. So you need to put money away for retirement. You need to put that away. We talked about other segments where you can over contribute to your 401k, and that can be turned right into a major contribution to Roth. So just because they're not matching right now, don't stop contributing. Let's sit down and have a conversation as to what would be the most important thing for you to do. And we'll talk you through on actually maybe making more contributions or over contributing to your 401k. There's tricks in there, and we need to make sure that you understand how to do that, because it's a tax code that needs to be followed in order to do that. So don't stop contributing just because they've stopped the matching, unless they don't offer a 401k with Roth option. And I don't want to go into that great detail because we don't have time for that. But contribute to the Roth 401k if you're younger. If you're older, contribute to the traditional IRA, do the conversion, because the market's down right now.
Yeah, and even if it isn't, hopefully it is just temporary if the match is discontinued. But as you mentioned, Ed, if you can, keep it going, and don't forget the tax benefits that come with it.
Well, and again, I'm saying that, but please understand there are those who are finding themselves in a cash crunch right now also.
Yeah.
We talked about that they might need additional money to put food on the table. They need additional money to keep a roof over their head. That's where that stimulus package that we talked about in the previous segment, where you were allowed to take additional money out of your 401k up to $100,000. It's more important now than ever before to keep an emergency cash on hand.
Oh, sure.
I know we're talking about retirement and going through the future. We will get through this. However, some folks are being affected hard. I mean, we know the restaurant industry, the entertainment industry, those folks are really getting hit. And if you're one of those folks, maybe the idea of contributing to your 401k doesn't make sense right now. Maybe you should be building up a cash reserves. And I'm all about that. You need to make sure that you concentrate on today. It's only when you're taking care of today first that you can concentrate on your future. Make sure that you build up that cash. Quit spending money on things that you don't need.
Right.
This will pass, but cash is very important.
You know, I was wondering, Ed, now I know that part of your overall plan for your clients includes a reserve for emergencies, a cash reserve. Do you think people will now take this a little more seriously after this?
I hope so. You've hit a really good question, because what happens is people have forgotten that cash is actually important. You need to have an income plan. You need to have a guaranteed income plan that will take you to and through retirement. Investing's great only after you've created an income plan. That's why I keep going back 5 years. Remember, it's also the taxes that are going to be involved when you retire. When you take money out of your retirement accounts, there's taxes involved. You're going to need cash on hand to pay for those taxes. You might end up having to pay quarterly tax. That requires cash on hand. That needs to be planned out. I don't see the investment people planning this. I see more and more retirees going into retirement not even knowing that they may have to start paying quarterly on their taxes. All this has to work together. Remember, you have multiple different vehicles for retirement. You have 401ks, you have Social Security, you have pensions. And these pension programs, you need to really find out how your pension program is going to work and sit down with somebody who specializes in pensions. I actually happen to be a specialist in pension design and retirement planning on that. Pensions are very important. And if you don't have one, you can create one. So pensions, Social Security, your tax situation that's going to happen, your 401k, your IRAs, converting to Roth, the tax situation now on your Medicare, all that has to be taken in consideration. And if you don't have a full-blown plan, the one that comes together with taxes, investments, insurance, and estate planning, everything is connected once you get to that point of retirement. If you're not working with somebody who understands that, it takes a team. What's the old saying? It takes a village to raise an idiot. Isn't that what they say?
Some variation of that, maybe.
I think my mom used to tell me that. And it takes bless her heart. She's now with our Lord.
I think you incorporated one thing with the village idiot.
Oh, well, okay. But it sounded good. Hey, yeah. we trademarked something else last week on this thing.
That we sure did.
What I'm trying to point out is you have to have all your specialists working together. Your tax person, your investment person, your insurance person, your estate planning person. They must all work together, because when you start looking at this and taking money out, your Social Security usually is one of the biggest retirement assets that you need to look at. And people treat Social Security like it's not a retirement vehicle to plan with. Social Security can be one of your biggest assets. When you calculate the number of years you're going to spend in retirement, statistically, it is probably larger than most folks' 401k. And how you take that along with your spouse is very important. Because planning for your spouse's future on Social Security is very important. It can mean hundreds of thousands of dollars, tax efficient income coming to you if you're planning with a spouse, and especially divorced people. I mean, come on, let's face it. Divorces are starting to get a little higher because everybody's starting to get a little agitated at each other. But divorced spouses have different rules and regulations. Mm-hmm. They have different rules and regulations for the beneficiaries of their 401ks. So this coronavirus issue has brought up more problems that people have been overlooking that they really need to look at today. So it's not just the idea of my company's not matching my 401k. It's what do I do with everything that's associated with my retirement.
Because there's so much associated with it. That's why having someone like Ed on your side as your partner it's critical. And to set that up, and now is a good time to do it. I mean, it truly is. To get a plan, a productive use of some time that you may find you have on your hands, it's a good time to take advantage of another offer from Ed.
The next 10 callers, please call us. If we don't happen to answer the phone immediately, leave a message. We will get back to you. The next 10 callers, we will do a full-blown financial plan for you. We will look at your taxes, the most efficient way to figure out your taxes. By the way, we'll go back and look at your last 3 years' taxes to see if we can get more money back for you. There's things that people have missed. TurboTax is not a planner. They're great. They do great jobs of filling the little numbers in the little boxes, but they don't do planning. We'll look at your investments, the hidden costs and fees inside your investments. There are fees inside your 401ks, ladies and gentlemen. There are fees inside these mutual funds, these variable annuities, even the fixed annuities. There's fees inside there. You need to know what those are. Your insurance, we'll look at your insurance. We'll look at your life insurance. We'll look at your Medicare insurance. We'll look at your long-term care insurance. These are things that you need to take into consideration. We'll look at your estate planning. We'll sit down, make sure you have your wills, your powers of attorneys, and trusts. By the way, just because you've established your powers of attorney 5-6 years ago, they are not potentially up to date. We actually taught a class on that 6 months ago and had our estate planning attorney come in and explain powers of attorney. Make sure that you understand that your powers of attorneys need to be updated regularly. We'll do all of this, full-blown taxes, investments, insurance, and estate planning. It is an integrated wealth management system. It's our Wealth Shield, our system that we've created. We will do this for free. We've seen this being charged for just a one-page evaluation in the Greenville area up to $1,000. We will do it free. We know people need help right now. If you have $250,000 and above in your retirement assets, give us a call. We will put you on our calendar. Again, you can come visit us in the office if you like to. We can do this virtually. We'll start off with a telephone call. and we'll help guide you through this. We want to add value. Give us a call.
800-563-7030. 800-563-7030 for Ed and the team at the Wealth Training Academy. And one more segment on the show today. What's that going to be, Ed?
When we come back, the questions we've been getting on our website, we're going to answer a few of those today and get detailed on those questions.
When should I take my Social Security? How much risk can I tolerate? I'm afraid I'm overpaying in taxes. Did I save enough? I can't keep up with all these rules.
There are a lot of components to your retirement, and it certainly can seem overwhelming. It's time to establish a partnership with a professional who can provide you with a written plan, the proper strategies, and then be there with you along the way. That's Ed Storer at the Wealth Training Academy. 800-563-7030. 800-563-7030.
Welcome back. The show is the Wealth Training Academy. Ed Storer is the president of the firm, the Wealth Training Academy, serving the Greenville and surrounding area for years, building the plan. Ed and his team, because he can answer your tax questions, investments, insurance, Medicare, estate planning. If he doesn't have the answer right away, he can find it quickly with someone on his team. And in normal situations, they're right there in the office. Now he just gets in touch with them in a virtual manner, which is one of the ways he can meet with you if you're comfortable with that. And certainly you're welcome to come into his office too. They're practicing a lot of sanitizing efforts, major sanitizing efforts there at the office. So if that makes you more comfortable, then that's an option as well. 800-563-7030. That's how you reach Ed and his team. Also want to give you their website address too, because on their website, you can ask questions. If you go to the contact tab, it's right there where you can submit a question, and you may just hear it on this show. The website is wealthtrainingacademy.com. That's wealthtrainingacademy.com, and submit your question and learn more about the Wealth Training Academy. First question of the week, it's from Cowpens, South Carolina. And I've heard you talk about annuities. I'm not sure I really understand what they are or why I shouldn't have one or should have one. Can you walk me through the basics of annuities?
Annuities are an insurance product. And so that's why when you're working with a person in retirement planning, you need to make sure that they truly understand insurance. And that's why when we're talking about our full-blown review and so forth, that we include insurance in there. Because sometimes people think an annuity is an investment, but it can be utilized as an investment. But annuities are really an insurance product. It's basically where you give some money over to an insurance company, and they promise to pay you an income for a certain period of time. Sometimes.
Right.
Annuities, they come in 3 different flavors: a fixed annuity, a fixed indexed annuity, that's the new one on the block, and a variable annuity. So a fixed annuity is somebody that it's going to pay you a certain percentage of income or a certain percentage rate for a period of time. They grow tax deferred, but when you take the money out, it is taxable on the growth. If you've put your money into an annuity and you've used it inside your IRA, all the money coming out is going to be taxable to you. Okay? So you've usually put pre-tax money in there, so that means every dollar coming out is taxable to you. So it's an insurance product. There's a fixed one, there's a fixed index one, and there's a variable one. This is why I keep saying this over and over. You have to be insurance licensed to offer annuities. If you are offering a variable annuity, or if your advisor is offering a variable annuity, odds are he or she is securities licensed. So you need to know what type of person you're working with. As a fiduciary, we look at all the insurance products out there. We are not married to any company. We don't care. We shop the country for the best program for you if we do something like that. There are good ones. There are bad ones. There are good agents. There are bad agents. Make sure you're working with a person and or team who understands that, because when you take the money out, taxes.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a good way to put it, too. There are good annuities, and certainly there are good firms, too. That's Wealth Training Academy. It's one of the good ones. Hey, by the way, I'm always interested in the origin of town names, so our research department here quickly pulled up the origin of Cowpens, town name. Believe it or not, the community was named on account of pens for cattle that were near the original town site. So, but also, if you're in the area, you should visit the Cowpens National Battlefield site of a battle in the American Revolution, which I love to visit old battlefields. All right, from Duncan.
Interesting.
What should I do with RMD funds after paying taxes if there is currently no need for the funds and I want them to grow with limited risk? Of course, that would apply to after this year. They're waived for this year.
Being that they are taking required minimum distribution funds, we will assume that they are either, well, now it's 72. Well, they could have started before the new act of 72. So we're just going to say 70 and a half. Mm-hmm. So what should you do with the funds after? Well, if you don't need the funds, you should make sure that you have plenty of cash on hand, first and foremost. The second thing that you could do is, if you don't need the funds, start looking to potentially plan for the next generation. Look for and plan for your grandchildren. Potentially help out and take advantage of some charitable donations. Those required minimum distributions that you're not needing, you could reposition those and give them to a charity and get a tax deduction. So that's why it's important to understand your tax situation and your investment situation before you start taking your required minimum distribution. Now, I'm going to go back and speak on something just for a second. Someone is going to pay for this bailout. It's going to be middle-class America. Mm-hmm. If you think your taxes are not going to go up, wow. Yeah. They're going to go up. Yeah. And it may not be you who are 75 and older, but it's definitely going to be the next generation down. So planning for the next generation now is more important than ever before. Making sure they have a sound financial plan and somebody that can communicate a full financial plan to them is more important now. So the required minimum distribution funds can be given to charity to help with your tithing, or think about your family charity. Think about the idea of helping them. Plan for them. Pay for an estate plan for them. I have some of our wealth members who will actually pay for their grandchildren's estate plan, because guess what? At age 18 in the state of South Carolina, you're legal, and that's majority age, and that means mom and dad can't do things for you anymore because you have to have powers of attorney, and so those things you need to get them done by a legal professional, and that costs a little bit of money. So they'll take their required minimum distributions and they pay for estate planning. So think about things of that other than just sticking it back in the market, but make sure you take a tax opportunity along the way to do that.
Yeah, see that, I mean, that's just a good example of the strategy and why it's critical to have someone who really, that's their area. I mean, a retirement specialist specialist on your side, a retirement specialist on your side to build the plan. Couple of questions, but a couple of good questions. And remember, you can submit your question to wealthtrainingacademy.com. Go to the site on the homepage, just click on the contact tab, and that's where you can, submit your question. And you may just hear it on this show. We always have some.
By
good
the way,
ones.
you can follow us on Facebook. I think I'm going to say this right. Follow us on Facebook. Connect with us on, is it link? Connect with us on
LinkedIn.
Okay, you do it for me. LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook.
That's right.
I always get that
Everything.
confused. Follow us on, we're on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. We're on our webpage. Look us up. We're putting out information to help you guys. Follow us. Connect with us. Like us.
Like on Facebook. Most people are on Facebook, so I'd say just search Wealth Training Academy and like them, because that's a good point. Because you could get updates on things that are changing, like you do on the show.
Constantly putting out updates. Constantly. Make sure you follow us.
Well, and also another online platform that they're becoming more familiar with at the Wealth Training Academy is Zoom. That's one way you could set up a virtual meeting. You're certainly welcome to come into the office too, but do it because you need a plan. And one more offer of the week from Ed and the Wealth Training Academy.
For the next 10 callers, give us a call. We will do a full-blown financial review for you. We will look at your taxes, your investments, your insurance, your estate planning. If you're a business owner and you're 10 years out and you're trying to figure out, what do I want to do with my company? Do I want to give it away to my kids, or not give it away? No one ever gives it away. If I want to pass it over to my kids, if I want to sell it, what's the value? The tax ramifications of doing that, you're going to need to know. If you're a business owner, we'll help you through that. So it's taxes, investments, insurance, and estate planning. If you're an individual who has $250,000 or more in their retirement account, we will do a full-blown review for you for free. Business owners will take a look at your taxes and we'll evaluate those for you for free. Let us know. We've seen people charge as much as $1,000 for a one-page evaluation here in the Greenville area. We will do the tax evaluation, investment evaluation, insurance evaluation, estate planning evaluation, your business evaluation. We'll talk you to and through programs that could potentially help you. We'll point out the areas that you need to be looking at. We will do this for free, full-blown taxes, investments, insurance, estate planning, integrated program. Our Wealth Shield takes a look at all this, purposely driven program to figure out where you want to be and how you want to get there. It's times like this that you really need to do this more so than ever before. Give us a call, the next 10 callers. If we don't answer immediately, leave a message. We will get back to you. Give us a call, though.
800-563-7030, 800-563-7030. Just getting a one-page financial review is great because, as Ed mentioned, some are charging up to $1,000. This is a full-blown financial review Ed is offering for the next 10, no cost or obligation, 800-563-7030. 800-563-7030. Ed, another great show, topical, good information, and pretty much you can count on it every week here with our conversation. Look forward to talking to you next week.
Take care. Be safe. Everybody, be kind to one another.
Insurance services offered through the Wealth Training Academy, Insurance Made Easy, LLC. Certain appropriately licensed individuals are registered to offer investment advisory services through Sophos Investments Incorporated, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Sophos is not affiliated with any entities listed herein. Sophos does not offer tax or legal advice and is not a certified public accountant. The opinions expressed in the show are those of the host and may not necessarily reflect those held by Sophos. This is for general information only and is not intended to provide specific investment advice or recommendation for any individual. It is suggested that you consult your financial professional, attorney, or tax advisor with regard to your individual situation. Comments concerning past performance are not intended to be forward-looking and should not be viewed as an indication of future results.